Good morning. Are you back in town, or are you still in sunny Florida? All right, so let's get started.
Still in Florida.
What?
Still in Florida.
Still in Florida. Uh-huh. Have you voted yet?
3 times.
Okay. So yesterday we were learning about the order of davening. The mimer is based on the 4 items that were placed in the room of Elisha: the bed, the table, the chair, and the candelabra. And we learned that the bed in the mimer, we learned the length of the idea of the bed spiritually is the idea of reciting Shema before retiring, and specifically making an account at the end of the day of where you are, making a decision for the next day, where you want to be. And we learned how that moment of the day, the sing Shema at night, the bed, is a pivotal moment for the whole day. It sets the tone. That's when the day begins. And with that energy of devoting yourself to Hashem at nighttime, that allows you to wake up in the morning to feel inspired to say Meida'ani and to recognize God's kindness and giving you neshama. And then your understanding of Hashem's presence and Hashem's greatness is broadened throughout the Psukei de Zimra, where we talk about how Hashem animates every single creature. So we concluded yesterday with some words that I wanted to focus a little bit on today. We concluded with the goal of Psukei de Zimra is not only to talk about Hashem's praise, but it's to make an impact on the animal soul. And we learned that there's 2 kinds of impact that we're out for in the Psukei de Zimra. Number 1, we want to do what's called Chakika min bachutz. Number 2, we want to do what's called Chakika min befnim. The analogy that Rebbe gives is from a person who wants to craft something out of a piece of wood, and man is called a tree in the field. So when you want it, if you have a block of wood, there's 2 things you need to do if you want to mold that wood into something. Number 1 is you want to reject all of the parts that aren't necessary, and then you want to fashion that wood specifically to be in the shape that you need it to be a receptacle for whatever you want to use it for. You want it to be a table, so you have one way of fashioning it, and etc. So there's removing what's negative, and then there is making it a receptacle for something positive. So in a similar way, we learned that Psukei de Zimra are called not just the words of the verses of praise. They're called the verses that prune. They take away all of the negativity of the animal soul. They remove all of the dirt. And spiritually, the fact that you are in the middle of the verses of praise and talking about Hashem's greatness, that lifts you above all of the different things that you may have been involved in, and puts you in a different zone of talking about Hashem's greatness. So first of all, it removes you, takes you out of the zone you were before. It puts you in, and then second of all, besides taking away the negativity, which means the Rebbe says that there may be some thorns that get stuck on you as a result of involvement in the physical, and in other memoir, specifically the Rebbe speaks about how scoffing and joking makes a person insensitive to spirituality. And so to remove all those thorns that prevent you from being receptacle to Hashem, Psukei de Zimra takes away the negativity. Practically, you're now talking about Hashem's praise. You're not scoffing, you're not joking. You are hallelujah. It's a whole different zone. There's chayas, there's aspilus, there's excitement. Now, besides the negative thing, you're also trying to create a receptacle. What that means is you're trying to become someone different than the one you were before. you're trying to impress upon your persona, upon your animal soul, that godliness is good. Not only are you trying to pull yourself away from negative things at the moment, you're trying to make an impression on the animal soul that Hashem is good. That's the goal. That's why the language of Psukkah de Zimra is something that our animal soul could understand, because he is the part of ourselves that we want to advertise to when we're saying Psukkah de Zimra. Not just that our godly soul, the higher parts of ourselves, should appreciate Hashem's greatness and Hashem's goodness. We want this to become something that's part of ourselves on a natural way, and therefore the goal is that even the animal part of ourselves should also appreciate that Hashem hu Elokim, that Teiv Hashem, that it's good to be close to Hashem and Hashem is good. That's the objective. Even the chomer, even the material, the Torah says that when Hashem created the world was toyu v'vayu, was desolate and empty, and there's choshech pnei sa'im, and there was darkness in the face of the deep. And then it says v'ruach Elokim rachafetz pnei hamayim. Then it says there was a spirit of Hashem hovering over the water. So the Medrash says the choshech pnei sa'im, the darkness in the face of the deep, also refers to the darkness of the exile. And whenever you create something, you have the goal in mind first. So when Hashem creates the darkness in the face of the deep, before that, Hashem already has the picture, the vision, the energy, the reality of what the purpose of the darkness is. And the purpose is the spirit of Hashem that hovers over the waters. The spirit of Hashem that hovers over the waters is the spirit of Mashiach. That's the purpose of creation. That's why we're here. So even though the animal soul seems to be animalistic, we're going to learn today that Hashem creates the animal soul specifically in a way that we're able to change the animal soul. We're able to advertise to the animal soul in a way that the animal soul could get and could appreciate Hashem is good. Although it's chomer, though it's in Hebrew the word chomer, which means material, is also related to the word chamer, which is related to the word donkey. A donkey, it says in Sfarim, is different than other creatures. A donkey is it's not complex. It's just a simple, thick-skulled kind of animal. People in Israel use the word donkey a lot when they insult people. You're like a chamer. Like a chamer means that you're thick-headed. You have a chamer, a donkey has his head to the wall. You're stubborn. A chamer is stubborn, and yet also a chamer has a herd mentality, just following everybody around them and just doing what everyone else is doing, but sticking to that way of life. That's what the animal soul is like. It's chomer, it's material, and it doesn't seem that there's a chink in its armor to get through to it. It's so, it says in Gemara that a donkey during the time of Tammuz, during the hottest season of the year, clearly it's cold. The Torah, however, does say something else. The Torah says that Hashem will send the Mashiach riding on a donkey. What's that? Is riding on a donkey? Why do you want Mashiach to go on a donkey? What does that mean? The idea of it is that the goal that what Mashiach is about is that this material, physical reality of the world and in ourselves, the animal soul, that itself will change. That itself will be the way it's supposed to be. It says when Hashem created the world, Hashem created the donkey that Bilam will ride on, and the child of that donkey is the donkey that Avram rode on, is the donkey that Moshe rode on, the donkey that Mashiach will ride on. It says about this donkey that one of the sages in the Talmud, Shmuel, was asked by a nobleman in his time, I heard Mashiach's coming on a donkey. I have a better idea. I can give you a really nice white horse from Mashiach, a prestigious white horse. Why would you want to go on a donkey? So Shmuel answered, according to one interpretation, the Mashiach's donkey will have 100 colors. According to Tosfos' explanation, it will have 1,000 colors. The idea of Mashiach riding on a donkey briefly means that Mashiach's reality is about us harnessing the physical reality in our lives and using it for something. Some people they get their greatness by the physical things. They feel like inferior in themselves, and they need something external to make themselves feel good. They're the ones who are looking for the white horses. They feel insignificant in themselves, and how do they get prestige? How do they get prestige? How do they feel good about themselves? They need to have a nice car. They need to have a nice donkey. They need to have a nice horse. But Mashiach rides in the donkey. A human being sent to the world to elevate the physical. The Gashmis, the world, although it seems it's impregnable, it's impossible to change it. The whole reason Hashem made this chomer, this hard material that seems to be so unchangeable, is in order to bring about the coming of Mashiach. Mashiach is created by bringing Hashem to the lowest place, and that's why one of the prophecies about the coming of Mashiach is that the wolf will lie with the lamb. Vasepis. Why do we care about the wolf lying with the lamb? What's the point of the wolf will lie with the lamb? That means the Mashiach will. That's what we're missing in this world. Guess what? Mashiach will come. The wolf and the lamb will get along. Is that what we need? We need the nations of the world to get along. We need the Jewish people to be safe. We need everyone to have bracha and all good things. Why are we promised that the wolf will lie with the lamb? There was a chassid named Hillel Parcher, one of the famous chassidim of the Alter Rebbe, and he lived in an area where there was a certain paritz, a landowner, and landowners in that time were like little kings of the regions that they owned lots of land in. So he told Hillel Parcher, he asked Hillel Parcher the following question: you Jews are always praying for Mashiach to come, right? Okay, I have a question for you. Let's say you've discovered Mashiach is going to come, or Mashiach has come already, and all the Jewish people are in Israel, celebrating, and I refuse to let you go. What you guys gonna do then? Everyone's celebrating and partying in Jerusalem, and you guys are stuck here. What would you guys do? So listen to the incredible wisdom of this chassid. It's deep. He said, the Mashiach that will come, that you won't believe in, I won't believe in either. In other words, Mashiach's coming is about the world being full of the knowledge of Hashem. Mashiach's coming is about a change happening to the lowest, most physical part of creation. The wolf will lie with the lamb as an expression of how godliness will be revealed everywhere. And therefore, Rabbi told the guy, if you're not going to believe in Mashiach, I wouldn't believe in him either. Mashiach's coming is about the world changing. And therefore, the preparation for Mashiach is about changing the lowest parts of ourselves. Sukkah de Zimra in a way that it makes sense to you, Hashem's greatness. Let's continue on page Kuf Samach Vav, Vihine, the new paragraph. Vihine, HaNefesh HaBahamis, the animal soul, although the animal soul, as its name indicates, is animalistic and predominantly its makeup is emotional, that's the animal soul is. However, the animal soul has a great virtue. The virtue of the animal soul is that it is able to become excited. The nature of being able to become excited is a great virtue. Being able to get excited about something, having that within you, when you get excited, that's something great. We see the nature of people. There are some people who are frigid, and their nature is they don't get excited. It's not because they're so intellectual. It's because that's what their nature is. Their nature is that they are frigid people. Ramel Tzibol V'Shalom used to tell us in Morristown. Morristown is a yeshiva, rabbinical seminary of America. We have boys the ages of 18 to 21, and he told us people think when you're younger, 14, 15, 16, you have a lot of excitement because you're not so smart, you're not so idealistic, and then you come to 18, 19, you slow down because you become more intellectual. He says that's not the reason. The reason is because your backside got a little heavier. The nature of a person to get excited is a virtue. It's a credible virtue to be able to become excited about things you're supposed to be excited about. I think I shared this story with you. There was a man who went to try out for a position. They were looking for someone to run Israel's submarines, in the military, and they needed people who were experts in Morse code and in light code. And this guy is sitting in the waiting room. He walks in later than everybody else, and then he is sitting down, and there's music playing, and he gets up and he runs past the secretary. He says, stop, and he runs into the main room of the general manager of that office. And the general manager comes out with him after talking to him for a minute or two, and he says, "Okay, everyone can go. Everyone can go. Well, this guy got here last. How come you interviewed him first? It's because you barged into your office. It's not fair. You should interview all of us. It's not fair." He says, "Listen, the music you're listening to contained the code. The code said, leave the waiting room, come straight into my office," and he got the code. So one guy says, "I heard that code too. What do you mean? I also heard the code." So the man replied, "Yes, you heard the code, but he actually got up and went into my office. He did something." That's really getting the code. So there are some things the animal soul may be prone to do because it's physical and it's animalistic, but it also is able to get the code. Animal soul is able to get excited. That's the nature of the animal soul. That's what's good about it. That could be used in a positive way. It's true that if we were to divide the intellect from the emotions, we would say that the intellect is patient, the intellect is settled. We would say that emotions, conversely, are excitable, are emotional. That's true. However, being patient and settled does not mean being cold. Therefore, frigidity is not intellectual. Rather, it's because of a person's nature or habit that he gets used to not getting excited. Most of the time, frigidity is a result of feeling a sense of being self-absorbed, yeshus, and loving yourself. Loving yourself makes you less interested in what's going on in the world, and therefore you're less movable, less able to get out there and get excited. It's not because you're intellectual; it's because of the reason why people don't get excited is because they're so into themselves. There are those people who are warm and emotional, and they're easily excitable. People call this kind of person a hot person, hot-headed person. When he does something, he does it with a great emotion. Not calculated. This kind of person does things usually, these kinds of people do things that are beyond their ability. People are hitzik, people are warm, people are excitable. Hot-headed people, when they go for something, they go all the way beyond their ability. We see clearly that most of the time they're able to become excited about good things more than they're able to be excited about bad things. It's a pretty broad statement. How does that make sense? Everybody says, well, I'll prove it to you. But Raya, the proof for this is the kasher is love davalete var mischartos. Kasher is davartik when a guy does something negative, most of the time he regrets it. Does something good, so maybe he gets excited and does the wrong thing. Okay, but when he wakes up the next morning or the next week, the next month, he feels bad about it. When the guy may be more prone to let out negative energy, but after the negative energy is released, he regrets it. But when he does something good, like he gives tzedakah, he's so excited about a cause, he just moves forward, gives it tzedakah. Or he is a guy who really works hard to help do a favor for someone. He's the guy who answers those WhatsApp messages and says, "I could help you," and he works hard to help someone else out. Although it's a really big job, but when he does a favor for that person beyond his ability, does he regret it? He doesn't regret it. He does the wrong thing. He's a hot-blooded guy, that kind of guy. So that he's the guy who may be the one who's yelling the first in the synagogue about whatever it may be. But he's also the guy who's going to wake up the next morning and say, "Why did I yell at that person?" But that indicates that that's not really who he is. He regrets that. When he does a favor for somebody, when he goes and he helps someone with great effort, he doesn't feel bad about that at all. Sometimes he feels really a lot of pleasure when he helps someone. This expression in Yiddish, if it wouldn't be for his heat, he wouldn't have done it. If it wouldn't have been for his excessive excitement, he would never have done the thing. Some things you cannot do with calculated logical thinking. Logical thinking won't get you there. What will get you there is if you're a hot-blooded kind of guy, you're going to jump for certain things very much quicker than someone else will. So there is a certain incredible virtue of people who are easily excitable. Especially those who are hot-blooded, who have a set time to study Torah. If someone has a hot-blooded temperament and they are in an environment of Torah and they've set time to study Torah, so the end is that the luminary in Torah will bring them where they're supposed to be. They may not, there's some things in Torah that are subconscious. There are subliminal messages the Torah gives you. The Torah is not just information. The Torah is the wisdom and will of Hashem. When you learn Torah, there's a light there in the Torah. And the light in the Torah, Gemara says, will bring a person to do tshuva. Eventually, the light in Torah brings you where you're supposed to be. So by a person who has this nature of being easily excitable, if he's in an environment of Torah, if he has a time to study Torah, there's good reason to believe that this guy's hot-blooded temperament will eventually bear fruit to help the Jewish people in big ways, more than someone else can with their logical, methodical thinking. And this kind of environment will more naturally cause this person who has this hot-blooded temperament to have good character. And the reason for this is because the nature of being easily excitable brings benefits. Being easily excitable is a virtue. There's a certain fallacy that is rampant among many Chabad Hasidim, unfortunately. The fallacy is that Chabad is about thought and about thinking. That's what Chacham Min Vadas means, and it's asur lispal. It's forbidden to get excited. It's not true. It's false. The nefesh habahamis, the animal soul, has this nature of being easily excitable, and the Rebbe says it's a great virtue. Great benefit comes from being easily excitable. Of course, your intellect can channel your animal soul's excitement to be in the right things, but your goal isn't that you shouldn't be. I remember this exchange in 770 between two great Hasidim, Zayin Gerson, Rapinya Korf, and Reb Kuti Feldman. Were talking one Yubes Tammuz about getting drunk. When the Frierdiker Rebbe was freed from prison, so there's a famous story how there were three Chasidim that were present. One Chassid was of great intelligence, one Chassid was average, and one Chassid was one was a little 11-year-old boy. And they all wanted to show their excitement, or they all naturally were excited about the previous Rebbe's release. So the Rebbe said that the one who was a great intellectual, whose name was, remember his name in a second. Reb Altois was an intellectual person. His face turned white and red because he so much love for the previous Rebbe that the news of Rebbe's released, it made him excited. I mean, and he just getting the information, processing it, just made his face turn colors. It wasn't Rebbe's release. How could that be? Like, what's going on? Then this 11-year-old boy, he went on a fence and he did a headstand on his hands, and he walked on the fence to show his excitement. And Reb Dvorkin, he took this huge bottle of vodka. He didn't drink it, chas v'shalom, but he danced. And yet, Nikava, there's no one higher than Hashem. So Reb Pinya was saying that, the Rebbe says how it's forbidden for a chassid to get drunk. And Reb Kuti was saying, of course you have to get drunk. So Rabbeinu said, look, the Rebbe said that he didn't drink the vodka. So Kuti said, it's not that he wasn't drunk. He was drunk without the vodka. The goal isn't that we shouldn't be drunk. The goal is we should get drunk without the vodka, which means it's not that we should, God forbid, get drunk physically. But Hashem wants us to be excited about Ruchnius, be excited about Lakus, be excited about Kedusha. The animal soul has a nature of getting excited. That's fantastic. We should make the animal soul excited about Kedusha. How do you do that? So we're learning in the Maimer about using your intellect to channel your animal soul to get excited about Kedusha. But the goal is that the animal soul should be shikr, should be drunk about the. I know this is correct or not. This is my take on this. There is a letter of the Rebbe, famous letter of the Rebbe, talking about getting engaged to someone. It says before you get engaged to someone, you have to have meshichas halev. You have to be attracted to that person. So on the other hand, there are hundreds of letters of the Rebbe, which the Rebbe says that the person should not focus on the tuffle, the insignificant things, and going out for a shidduch. You should focus on the main things, the character, the main things, the fear of heaven. The person has to have the same fundamental appreciation for Yiddishkeit, for Judaism. The foundation is the most important thing. Don't get caught in things which are secondary or tuffle, which means even less than secondary. They're insignificant. So let's say someone is attracted only by things which are secondary of secondary, right? So is Rebbe saying that you shouldn't make the shidduch if you're excited? Is Rebbe saying you should only make the shidduch if you're excited about the spirituality? What is the meaning of making a shidduch only if you're attracted to the person? So what I think Rebbe is saying is that you should focus on the important things, but you should be excited about those important things. In other words, not just like, okay, a shidduch is something intellectual and it fits into a box and it starts here and it finishes there, and that's how shidduchim work. Okay, she has all the qualities, check, and therefore I'm interested in the shidduch. No, your heart being drawn to the person, there should be some attraction of the heart to the person, doesn't mean that there's only a chemical reaction. What that means is that the person is excited. There's some drunkenness there. There's some excitement there. There's some craziness there, but there's logic behind it. There's a reason. There's a good reason to be drunk about this. When the Rebbe says there should be attraction of the heart, it means there should be excitement. On the other hand, the Rebbe says that you should be attracted to the things which are truly attract. What's the word in English? Whatever. Which you should have attraction for. That should make you attracted to. So focus on what's really important, but don't say, okay, they're making a calculated and measured decision about the shidduch. Those virtues should make you excited. In a similar way, we're talking about attracting our animal soul to Kedusha. It's not that we're trying to make the animal soul to become a cool, cold-blooded, and intellectual being like the godly soul. We want the animal soul to stay with its great animalistic drive. We want to do, though, is we want to impress upon the animal soul the incredible greatness of Hashem, incredible kindness of Hashem. So the animal soul is excited to do a mitzvah, to run to do a mitzvah. My great-grandfather said that, I'll leave you with this. He said, for doing one mitzvah, it should make you want to dance for 70 years. That's what he said. It wasn't just he was saying something spiritual from a neshama perspective. That's the way he felt as a person, dancing for a mitzvah. How do you feel that way? He felt that way because it became part of him. His thoughts. He worked on himself. He worked on Chassidus, and it made him a mitzvah. It's something that we're able to cultivate in ourselves, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. Any questions or comments? Have a great day, Rabbi Aryeh. Great day, Menachem Mendel. Great day, David. Great day, Dr. Bressman. Great day, Michal Mordechai. Great day, Beryl.
One question.
Oh, yes, sir.
You talked about the four foundations of what was in Elisha's room, and I got the table, the lamp, and the bed. But what was the other one?
The candelabra.
The candelabra. Well, table, lamp, bed, and candelabra. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. Table, chair.
Chair. That's the difference. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll see, God willing, which part of davening it corresponds to, which tomorrow. All right. Have a great day.